today we are going to discuss the VoIP technology and specifically the VoIP security. And before moving into the security part, let's understand the basic concept of the VoIP technology. So VoIP basically stands for the voice over internet protocol. So what does it mean by, and what options we have, and what kind of technologies and what kind of applications we have to communicate over VoIP. Okay, so VoIP is basically a communication protocol which is being widely used, and it is used for uh, voice calls and multimedia content which are transmitted over an IP network. And this IP network can be like, this is a very common which we can consider, that is the internet. And I have like specified this thing, internet, instead of the PSTN. So what PSTN is stands for, that is the public switch telephone networks, which is used for the traditional telephone technologies. Okay, so VoIP allows users to make voice calls from a computer system. You can use the VoIP applications on smartphones and other mobile devices, or you can use the VoIP phones as well. So this technology useful for both the consumers and businesses nowadays, and it include other features that you cannot found on the traditional or the common phone services. So these features can include all the call recording, customer caller ID tracing, voicemails, etc. Okay, and you can see this particular technology has known as a various like through the various names and terminologies, like broadband technology, telephony, broadband phone, voice over broadband, etc. So basically, uh, what like I want to explain is, like we use the internet as a transmission medium for the telephone calls over the VoIP. For users have the internet access, and those users have the internet access, can use the voice, and they don't require any specific kind of requirements. Okay, and if we talk about, can you please go to the next slide? Okay, so nowadays we have the various VoIP applications through which we can communicate over the internet, instead of the olden telephone service or the traditional telephone services, I can say. Okay, so these smart these VoIP applications you can run on any of the smartphones, or any you can also use on the particular computer systems as well. So these are the most popular and the best VoIP smartphone apps which allow you to make calls for free. You just need, and you just require the internet connection. That's it. And these apps allow you to make call to anyone, anywhere around the world. You just need to have account registered with your cellular number. Okay, so and if we talk about the architecture of VoIP and the component of VoIPs. So as of now, I'm not going into the depth, but I'll discussing the most common and general component of VoIP network. Please move next. Okay, so these are the basic component of the VoIP network. So the gateway converts the signals from the traditional telephony interfaces to the VoIP, and the server part, the server component provides the management and other administrative function to support the routing of calls across the VoIP network. And another one is the IP network, which provides the connectivity between all the terminals. It can be private or any internet or intra network. So, and other than that, the most important component through which the user interacts, that is the end user equipment. These are the terminals that have the VoIP support and can connect directly to an IP network. Okay, so other than that, we have one component that is the gateway. This is the this plays the most important role in VoIP architecture or VoIP network. Okay, so it basically uh, okay, so it basically use in integrating the IP network with the PSTN. As I mentioned this term PSTN earlier in previous slide. So PSTN, you can understand this as a telephone line. If I say in a very common words, so you can understand in that way. So PSTN is a basically a telephone line, or you can say a collection of interconnected networks or interconnected voice network, which is used for the uh, VoIP communication, which is used for the voice communication. Okay, so these are the basic components of VoIP technology. Okay, next. Okay, so we have like a number of protocols used in VoIP technology, but here, like right now, I'm including just the mandatory and just important ones. So first one, that is the H.323. It is a standard that is used for call setup and call termination and registration and authentication. Okay, so for that, like when we connect over the Skype, or if we connect over the um, WhatsApp call. So for that, we have to, follow these steps. So we, it is not like a magic, like we can directly connect and just we can start a conversation. So for that, to follow the step-by-step process, the H.323 provide the various features for setup and termination, and first then you have to follow the registration as well to start the conversation. Okay, and it and H.323, it has like various versions, which has like various version which have the different use for the different purpose. Okay, so it is basically like called the umbrella standard. just because of it has the several other protocols like H.225, H.245, H.235, etc. And each of these protocols has a specific role in the VoIP call setup process. Okay, and if I talk about the SIP, that stands for the session initiation protocol. So this is a very one of the important protocol to initiate the VoIP call, and it is most oftenly used to create, maintain, and end the calls. So it is SIP is a text-based protocol that works on request and response model similar to the HTTP protocols. As we communicate over the web through the HTTP protocol, so similarly, this SIP protocol works in that way, and like uh, it works in that way, like on the basis of request and response model. Okay, and other than that, after connecting over the VoIP, and after connecting, like if I say using the Skype or WhatsApp, okay, so this particular protocol comes in rule. Okay, so that is the real-time transport protocol. So it is basically used once voice is encapsulated on IP, as I mentioned, like after done the registration and initiation the call. So after these steps, this during the call, I can say this particular RTP protocol comes into. Okay, and this SRTP, it is, you can understand in that way. You can compare this to HTTPS. So this is the secure version of the RTP protocol. Okay, so after this, we'll move to the security part, and we'll understand the present risk of this technology. And we have like various advantages, and we have like various features of this VoIP technologies. But if we see the other side, we also have the disadvantages, or we can say like some risk regarding the security of this technology. Okay, so as we like, these are the common terms and these are the common attacks we already heard about. Okay, so this these kind of attacks happen in a different way in this particular VoIP case. Okay, so if I talk about the DDoS attack, that is the distributed denial of services. So this kind of attack basically intended to slow down or shut down your voice network, or particularly for the specific time of period. And if I talk in term of the VoIP, so DDoS attacks flood a target with the unnecessary SIP call signaling on VoIP servers. So these malicious attacks on the VoIP system can happen in like number of ways. So this can be happen in form of DOS attack or the DOS flood, or this can be happen in a this can be happen through the buffer overflow attacks as well. So and through which one can prevent your VoIP service from being accessed, and these VoIP services, like it can be anything, any VoIP services like SMS message delay or call drop, etc. Okay, and next one, if I talk about the phishing, which we can, in case of the VoIP, I can say this phishing. So this is also like another emerging VoIP threat. That also called the voice phishing or phishing. So phishing is VoIP-based phishing, and this occurs when the malicious actors redirect the legitimate calls to or from your VoIP networks, and instead connect them to the online predators, and plus they use the various fraud tactics to trick the employees. Okay, and they also, like, it depends, like they can also trick the suppliers and even the clients, and they can ask for sharing the sensitive information. Okay, and from the perspective of an employee or the customer, the cause seems legitimate, and they may be convinced, like they can use this social engineering and to manipulate their minds to reveal the sensitive information. Like it can be some credits of any organization's assets, and it can be some kind of car details. Okay, and next one is the call tampering. So call tampering is an attack that involves the tampering with the phone call in progress. Okay, so for example, an attacker can simply spoil the quality of the call by injecting the noise packets. Okay, whenever the two users are connected, so one can uh, like in between the communication, if one has the access, any attacker has the access to your network, so that he or she can flood the malicious packets in between. Using, like, in that way they can create noise, or they can also create the silence. Okay, so basically, the particular malicious user or any attacker will try to degrade the clarity of your calls. Okay, so that is all from my side. Kiran, over to you.
Yeah.
You can
Thank
continue.
you, Anu, for that explanation. So now we are going to understand why there is an increase in VoIP attacks. So according to the surveys till 2018, India had like 0.4 billion market value, and it is expected to increase till 2 billion till 2025. So in 3 years, the demand has increased, which eventually will lead to attracting malicious attacks, because the tech is new, it is evolving, it is continuously upgrading, which will lead to many loopholes that goes unnoticed. So till 2018, VoIP attacks ranged from like 3 to 6%. They were like 3 to 6% dominant, and here we can see that it has increased to 19%, and expected to increase even more by 15 to 20% by the year 2025. which will surpass the SMTP attack and get to the fourth place. So we can imagine how speedily VoIP attacks will increase later on. Here we will understand the VoIP attack methodologies. So the first one is enumeration and information gathering. So what happens in this is, like, there are many SIP requests. Okay, so some of which are invite, which establishes a session, acknowledgement ACK, which confirms a invite request, by, which ends a session, cancel, which cancels the establishing of a session, and then there is register, which communicates the user location. So with the acquired information, with all the gathered information, the requests can be replayed or tampered with. So this way, the attackers can make calls for free at victims' own cost by using their own resources and exhausting them by their own expenses. So the second one is eavesdropping. So eavesdropping is executed by capturing SIP and RTP requests, RTP packets. Okay, so SIP being the text-based protocol, and RTP protocol being is not encrypted. Okay, so both the combination of both of them leads to performing a MITM attack, which is man in the middle attack, which can lead to eavesdropping and leak of sensitive data and credentials. The next one is authentication attacks. So SIP is a text-based protocol. Okay, so before, what used to happen was that it used to use insecure authentication, where credentials were transmitted in clear text. But later on, it was deprecated and replaced by SIP 2.0. Okay, so now in SIP 2.0, there's a algorithm used, MD5 algorithm is applied to it. Okay, for the authentication details, and then later on they are sent to the server. So this entire process of clear text to applying to the algorithm is known as HTTP digest authentication. So majorly all the authentication attacks will surround around bypassing this HTTP digest concept. Okay, then next is retesting. So like how we know, after patching the defects, we perform the in-depth reassessments so that we ensure that there are no more vulnerabilities left. Next, we have VoIP security best practices. So the first one is enforcing a strong password policy. So strong passwords are important because we need to secure the phone systems. So usage of combination of letters, numbers, and special characters is much advised. At the same time, employees are also advised to not store passwords in text files or sticky notes in their computers. Next is applying operating system updates often. So over here, applying OS updates is must, as the system admins already have that right. At the same time, encouraging we must encourage the users to accept and enroll the OS updates that come on their iPhone or Android devices. Okay, and then we have set up a virtual private network for remote stuff. Over here, VPNs can, they encrypt all the traffic no matter where the employee works. Okay, and it is very much ideal for work from home employees. So it is very much advised and suggested that considering a business level, most reputed VPN should be used. For example, companies like Sophos or Cisco or Cloudflare, like the famous ones. Um, Next is require Wi-Fi encryption. So over here, the company should activate WPA2 on their wireless networks. So at the same time, employees can also activate this Wi-Fi encryption in their own Wi-Fi network. Uh, this setting can be changed if the employee goes to their router admin panel and go to the wireless module and select WPA2 equal to PSK module. And at the same time, they should very frequently, like after every 3 months or every 6 months, they should update their Wi-Fi passwords. Next comes review your call logs. So in this, examining a company's call logs should be examined to check any if there are any unusual calling patterns or behavior. So to mitigate this, setting up a portal or a dashboard which has the feature to monitor call volume is on every monthly or weekly basis is very much beneficial to the company. Next is restrict your calling and block private calls. So, until and unless your company does business outside, like overseas, so it's better to only give access for international calling to those who are calling abroad, right? So, it is like suggested to enable call blocking with a message with a message displaying to enable their caller ID. Next is deactivate inactive accounts. So this scenario kicks in when employees leave the company and forget to notify their IT department. So by disabling employee accounts, disabling the employee accounts, the company can minimize the resources that are applied, that are given to that account itself. So, from a technical point of view, if we see, we do not want any VIP account to remain active, functional, without any real user being assigned to it, right? So, deactivating inactive accounts is very much suggested. Last, educate users on security practices. So, in this, reminding the users that the company will never won't need their passwords. So training them to training them to identify what phishing is, at the same time what social engineering is. So training them to identify this phishing and social engineering scams is also beneficial and important for the company. And then conducting regular assessments to check if any new vulnerabilities are there in the system or not is also advised. At the same time, last but not the least, the users should know whom to contact when they notice when they identify any event of security breach. Okay, that's all, guys. Thank you so much.